Woo! It is April 20th. Hopefully you're watching this on Monday or Tuesday. It's April 20th if you're watching it on Monday, the 21st if you're watching it on Tuesday. It's week 4, day 1. Welcome back to Distance Learning. Welcome back to Mr. Ermer's Language Arts class, 7th graders. We've got a full agenda for you. I've got 8 agenda items I'm going to be going over before I read alouds, explaining how the week will be going. It's a beautiful day, but first let's check in with the weather. I hear Mr. Ermer was awesome for you, so heard a lot of compliments from students. It is beautiful. It's 46 degrees out. I know that's refreshing. I'm going to go out for a run, probably with some short sleeves here in a little bit after I finish recording. And it's sunny out. That's nice. I was looking at the forecast for the week too. It looks like it's getting even nicer. Maybe a little bit of rain. I know it's thunderstorm season. So we can keep the window open today. All right. 8 agenda items for today. April 20th or the 21st, week 4 distance learning. One is going to be talking about incompletes. Again, just a reminder of how grading is going to be going. That leads us to agenda item 2, pass-fail. So the whole district, South Washington County Schools, has moved to pass-fail for the remainder of the school year. I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means for you, especially with connection to language arts. Agenda item 3, Minnesota news updates. I've spent a little bit of time on the news, listening to Governor Walz and reading some articles, and I have some news updates pertaining to Minnesota in particular I thought I would share with everyone. Agenda item 4, the mystery box. Agenda item 5, Nick Ripka invited a guest speaker into the classroom today. We'll see what that's about. Agenda item number 6 will be show and tells. We have show and tells here for you today. And then also reminding you about submissions about that. Agenda item 7, what you're doing today, day 1. It's a work day. I'll go through what that actually means for you. Agenda item 8, phone calls. And I'll talk about how I want you to all reach out to me over the course of the next 4 days. And I'll talk a little bit about that. All right, agenda item 1. I told you about this last week. Incompletes. This was news, I believe, on day 2 in the day 2 video. And all of us teachers have been instructed that if you have any missing work, if you don't turn anything in, if we never got a submission from you, we as teachers, because we have moved to a pass-fail system, are marking all of those assignments incomplete. And that does 2 things. One, it does not affect your grade, so you won't really see a grade dip, but it will give you an alert. So just be aware that when your teachers go to decide whether you pass or fail, we're kind of seamlessly moving on to agenda item 2, pass-fail. Us teachers have a bit of flexibility and discretion. It means our own opinions get to guide whether we decide students pass or fail for trimester 3. So how I'm going to be deciding and looking at pass-fail is going to be really 2 components. One, the amount of work you've completed. I see some students, just a handful of students for you 7th graders, that have not completed anything. You're not doing the daily Rex reflections. You're not sharing or submitting the 3 articles we've done. You haven't done the assessment. So again, today's going to be work day. I'll get to that, but it's really on you to complete that work. I'm reaching out to some of those students, the ones that haven't turned in anything, to see if it's a connectivity issue. But again, you're in middle school now, especially now that you're 7th grade and you have these routines. It's on you to manage yourself, to understand what you have and have not completed. So that's going to be on you to understand that your teachers might be approaching whether you pass or fail differently. For me as your language arts teacher, I am going to be looking at whether you have been consistently doing work and then looking at that quality of work. So are you just turning something in to turn in, or are you actually doing the assignment, reading the directions, and troubleshooting the issues you have with me when you are confronted with issues? So that's that. Moving on to Minnesota news updates. So reading some of the news in with what's going on. Minnesota became one of the first states in the country to have passed an affordable, ensuring that everyone who needs insulin, such as people with diabetes, get access to affordable insulin. It's pretty cool. I think that's amazing. There's been some tragic stories with younger adults that are winning off of their parents' health care at the age of 26 and tragically losing life because they can't afford to pay for the expensive insulin that their body needs because their bodies don't produce it. So I think that's really cool that Minnesota is one of the first states to pass legislation that will give access and ensuring that anybody in our state that needs access to this life-saving thing our bodies need, or those who need insulin, can get it. Money will not be a barrier for people to get insulin. And a lot of people do have diabetes. So that's awesome. Really cool. I was excited to see that. Also, it was cool. I heard from the University of Minnesota, which is over here in Minneapolis. They have campuses all over the state, but in Minneapolis here, they have developed an innovative ventilator. Again, here in early April, there's still a high need for ventilation systems for people in critical care need for respiratory issues. Oftentimes, there's been a high demand and there's been a bottleneck for getting the healthcare system, those precious ventilators for people who actually need that life-saving support. And the University of Minnesota developed a way to develop them cheaply, and the FDA emergency COVID approval system has approved that. And so the U of M is publishing how to create these innovative respiratory systems to an open source so people can understand how through medical devices that they have access to at their healthcare facilities, they can make these innovative ventilators right there in their facilities. So it's really cool. It's really cool what the University of Minnesota has done with that. All right, moving on to agenda item number 4, the mystery box. What's in the box? I'm not going to be telling you unless you reach out to me and you enter into a Google Meets with me. Again, you could send me a Schoology message, an email, call me on the phone saying, hey, Mr. Ermer, I want to see what's in this mystery box. And we could do a Google Meets, and I'll show you what's in the mystery box. That's all there is to it. So that's on you to contact me and get in touch to see if you want to see what's in there. Every day I'm going to put something new in the mystery box. I think it'll be cool, interesting, things that I have in my apartment. And I do collect some cool things and things that my family have as well. I'll borrow cool things that I know my family. I get to see my brother, my nephew, my dad, and my girlfriend still. So I have a few people that are in my family circle I still see. And so I'm going to ask them, hey, can I borrow this? Can I borrow this? And especially my dad. He was a colonel in the military. He's 66, so he's lived some life, and he has a lot of cool, interesting trinkets that I think you'd be interested in seeing here in the next so ever long as we have distance learning. So keep in touch. You're on. You need to check in with me about the mystery box, though, and we'll do a Google Meets. All right, on to Mr. Ripka's guest singer. Let me pull this up. Sorry here. Do. Let me. Sorry, didn't have it pulled up already. Da, 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 da. All right. I don't know if you all know of that internet meme or event. That thing's been going on for probably 10 years. It's called being Rickrolled. Just at random times, being subjected to Rick Astley's common or old famous song. It's his, I don't know if he had any other hits. I'm really not sure, but that's called being Rickrolled. You've just been Rickrolled. Nick requested that I do that. Good job. I approved. All right, we have our show and tell. Agenda item number 6 is our show and tell, everybody. And let's see what we got. Oh, Charlie and I have pancakes, real maple syrup, and coffee every single day. Pancakes and eggs. Woo! As Mr. Remry pointed out, I have been having an unprecedented amount of pancakes. So I love pancakes. This is Mercury. We saw him. That's Leo, my girlfriend Susanna. It was a lovely day, and I'm thinking about having guest speakers in with people that I actually have regular contact with, the 5 people that I see. And so maybe you'll get to see Leo, Mercury, or Susanna very soon. Uh-huh. One of you submitted this. I don't know what kind of creature this is, but I thought it was pretty cute. Thank you for sharing. Let's see what else we got here. All right, Kelsey, nice to see you too. You got some fish back there. Looks like a sister or cousin. I'm not sure who that is, but it's great to see you. And Mrs. Trample has a work helper out there too that is helping, and very glad to see her home every day. So it was great. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you, Mrs. Trample, for sharing this. She has beautiful eyes, or he, I don't remember. But Tiger, I forget if it's a he or a she, but this cat is named Tiger, and what a beautiful cat they are. All right, don't forget to share. I still see students just posting into that show and tell whatever they want, and that's great. I'll read about whatever you're up to, doing homework and then getting on Netflix. Nothing. Ayub was out there. He had like a 2-second audio clip. I am doing nothing. That's great. I was listening to that, but I'm not going to share that. I'm just thinking of creative ways to keep in touch with our community back in Cottage Grove. I know we can't see each other, or you shouldn't be seeing each other. So keep on posting to that, and I'll keep sharing some pictures of things that I'm up to and see. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm wearing Aloha Friday. It's Friday. I'm filming on Friday, and it's beautiful out there. So. All right, moving on. It's a work day. So the directions are in today's weekly plan, or this week's weekly plan for day 1. And it's pretty simple. We've been in distance learning for 3 weeks now. And some of you are, maybe 7 of you have done every single assignment. So good for you to those 25% of you of the class that have done everything. But there's at least about 15% of the class that's missing an alarming amount of work. And so I thought that after 3 weeks of distance learning in this new system and new environment of education and not knowing how to troubleshoot some of your electronic problems, I'm going to give you this time during language arts class to go through your grade book and see what's missing. And I've had a lot of questions about when are things due. So I'm going to be creating a new system for when things are due right on the assignment. I thought it was going to be clear based on the Schoology assignment due dates, but that's not very apparent to everyone. So right in the Schoology assignment title, I'll be putting the due dates as well. Hopefully that'll clarify some issues about due dates for those people who are confused about due dates. But make sure you, today, during your workday, go into Schoology, go into Gradebook, go into your language arts gradebook and see what you're missing. This is your day to catch up. This is your day to make sure everything's been submitted. I also request that each of you this week call me. So that's your directions. The directions are in the weekly plan. My phone number is in the weekly plan, 651-425-4486. It'll call right on my computer. And I'm going to be screening calls for all of you. I'll be listening to calls for all of you. So I'm just going to be checking in with you. If you want to see what's in the mystery box, I'll show you on a Google Meets. I'll give you the link. But otherwise, it's a day to go through Gradebook and go through each week's folder. There's only been 3 of them so far. I haven't asked you to do a lot, so it's a little alarming. So many of you have chosen to do such little work. So this is just an opportunity for you to check in with me, seeing who's going to be following through with that, and also give me an opportunity to check in with that 15% of you who have really done very little work. So keep it up. All right, phone call 651-425-4486. Call me at some point during the week. I'm going to be answering all those calls. And then Rex wanted to share his reflection question as well. Hey kids, Rex here. As Mr. Ermer said, it's week 4, day 1. It's a work day, but we still have a reflection question. What is your favorite saying? Mr. Ermer shared with me his favorite saying. His dad used to tell him, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. What's your favorite saying? All right, see you later. One of you suggested I put that in the middle of the video today to see if all of you are watching the entire video. I think from now on I'm going to put that segment, Rex's reflection question, at different times. So making sure you do watch the entire video. As you can hear from my agenda items, I do have important information for you to share, things about phone calls, things about family contact, things about district grading policies. You need to hear this information, so make sure you are watching the entire video. Based on the inconsistent follow through of some of the assignments or non-clarity with some of how you need to approach assignments, I'm not sure you're watching the videos. So this is a part of the routine. I have sent an email out over the weekend to your families explaining this routine. Please follow the routine, and please call me anytime you want to that number that's in my contact information document and that I've shared with you now, and that's in this week's weekly planner. All right, let's move on to our read aloud. Don't forget, listen to this as well. You can read and quiz for this when we're done, which should be done, shouldn't be that long. Jerry Spinelli's Loser, chapter 16. Field day is many years old at Satterfield Elementary. It began as a day of fun, a day to celebrate spring, an outdoor treat for the students. And field day still is fun for the little kids, the first, second, and third graders. But for the fourth and fifth graders, the big kids, it is less about fun and more about winning and losing. The little kids take part in events designed just for them. The potato roll, kick the pillow, basketball boomerang, shadow bonkers. For the big kids, it's races. 10 kinds of races, all of them relays. There's the sack race and the run backwards race and the hop on 1 foot race and the race backwards while sitting on your rear end race. The first 9 races are like that, goofy, unusual. The last race is just a plain race. To the big, fast kids, it is the only real race. Each classroom is divided into 4 teams, 8 teams per grade. Each team has a color. Students compete only against those in their own grade. Mr. Yalowitz is the coach. From home, he has brought in strips of dyed material, headbands. Team colors for his classroom are purple, red, yet green, and yellow. Zinkoff is on the purple team. Before they go out for field day, Mr. Yalowitz gathers his students around him and says, I'm rooting for all of you guys, reds, greens, purples, yellows. It's those other 4th grade measles I don't like. The kids laugh. He's always telling them that they are better than the other 4th grade class and that they and their teacher, Mrs. Sirota, are measles. So let's go out there today and beat the pants off of them. I like that because we do races sometimes in my classes, and I like competition. They pile hands into the huddle and explode from the classroom and stampede, shrieking down the hallway and into the sunshine of May. The purple team has 7 members. The best athlete among them is a boy named Gary Hobbin. Tall and long of leg, Hobbin is not only the fastest purple, he is probably the fastest kid in all of 4th grade. He is also a take charge kind of kid. And when he says, I'm leading off every race, none of the purples disagree. But when Coach Yalowitz hears about it, he says, Nobody runs every race. You rotate so everybody gets a chance. Everybody does get a chance, but Zinkoff gets less of a chance than the others. He runs the second leg of the race backwards while sitting on your rear end race, or as the kids call it, the hiney hop, and is quickly left behind by the other 7 teams. But Yolanda Perry and Gary Haben are the final 2 legs, and they bring the purples back to a rousing victory by a nose, so to speak. In the hop on 1 foot race, even an incredible final leg by Haben is not enough to make up the ground lost by Zinkoff, whose 2 feet are not always enough to keep him upright. The sight of Zinkoff tilting, tottering, lurching, falling brings howls of laughter and mock cheers from the sidelines. Nevertheless, going into the final event, the Purples have the highest point total of any 4th grade team. To win the championship, all they have to do is not finish last in the big race. Naturally, 6 of the Purples have no intention of allowing Zinkoff to compete. And naturally, Gary Haben will run the most important leg, the last leg, the anchor leg, and will propel the Purples to glory. But the coach has other ideas. Zinkoff runs anchor, he says to the 7 gathered Purples. Everyone turns to stare at Zinkoff, who is doing jumping jacks to keep in shape. Gary Haben squawks. What? You run 3rd leg, says the coach. Give him a nice lead. And off he goes to counsel the reds, greens, and yellows. 6 purples glare at Zinkoff. Gary Haben balls his fist and holds it an inch from Zinkoff's face. I'm going to give you the biggest lead anybody ever saw. You better not lose. I won't lose it, says Zinkoff. I always save my best till last, which in fact is not true at all. But Zinkoff imagines it to be, and it sounds like a good thing to say at the time. The big final race is run across the length of the playground, through the yellow dust and tufted grass. The starters for the 8 4th grade teams line up at the sliding board and take off at the principal's go! The second runners crouch at the far end, waiting to be tagged on the back by the leadoffs. At the first exchange, the Purples are in second place. By the time the second runner tags Haben, they are 5 yards ahead. Haben blasts out of his crouches and spins dust like a yellow tornado. True to his word, Haben gives Zinkoff such a lead as has not been seen all day. When he tags Zinkoff, the other runners are only halfway down the track. Go! Haben yells, and Zinkoff goes. Zinkoff's legs churn up the dust. His arms whirl like his mother's mix master. His face is a pinched, grimacing lemon of effort. And yet, somehow, he goes nowhere. When the other anchors take off, he's barely 10 yards down the track. Run, run! Haben screams behind him. Unable to contain himself, Haben leaves his place and runs up alongside Zinkoff and screams in his ears, Run, you dumb turtle, run! Zinkoff runs and runs, the flap of his headband bobbing behind like a tiny purple tail, and he's still running long after the others have crossed the finish line. Zinkoff comes in dead last. The Purples come in last. The Purples lose the championship. The Purples tear off their headbands. They slam them to the ground, stomp them into the yellow dust. Zinkoff is bent over, gasping from his effort, catching his breath. Haben comes to him. He kicks dust over Zinkoff's sneakers. Zinkoff looks up. Haben sneers, You're a loser, a stinking loser. Other Purples pile on. Yeah, you stink at everything. Why do you even do stuff? Oh, man, that's hurtful. Yeah, why do you even get out of bed in the morning? Man. He probably even screws that up. One Purple shakes his fist. We could have had medals. They file by, some whisper the word, some say it aloud, each pronounces it perfectly. Loser, 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 la-hoo-zer. He hopes his parents won't ask him about field day at dinner, but they do. They say, "How did it go?" "How'd what go?" he says. "Field day." "Oh, okay." Trying to sound like it's not worth talking about. "Don't ask who won," he prays. And they don't. They ask, "Was it fun?" And "What was your favorite race?" And "Did you get all sweaty?" And he thinks he's out of the woods when Polly pipes up, "Did you win?" He screams at her, "No, okay!" And everybody stops chewing and stares, and he runs from the dinner table crying. He half expects his father to follow him up to his room, but he doesn't. Instead, he calls up, "Hey, want to go for a ride?" Instead, oh yeah, Zinkoff is always asking to go for a ride, and his father always says not unless there's someplace in particular to go, or it's a waste of gas. Zinkoff doesn't need to be asked twice. He flies downstairs, and off they go in Clunker 6. There's some chit-chat in the car, but most of it goes from his father to the jittery dashboard. "Easy there, Honeybug. No big deal. I'm right here." It's like he's trying to reassure his car so it doesn't break down. The rest is just a ride to no place in particular, wasting gas galore. Even in bed that night, Zinkoff can still feel the shake and shimmy of the old rattle trap. And coming through loud and clear is a message that was never said. He knows that he could lose 1,000 races, and his father will never give up on him. He knows that if he ever springs a leak or throws a gasket, his dad will be there with duct tape and chewing gum to patch him up. That no matter how much he rattles and knocks, he'll always be a honeybug to his dad, never a clunker. That is darned beautiful. What a metaphor, comparing Zinkoff to that clunker. But he would never be a clunker. He's a old honeybug. Just like his father was telling that honeybug to hold together. Don't worry. He's telling his son, don't worry. It's a beautiful book. I like it so much, everybody. Don't forget to do that Rex reflection. Don't forget to do your darned work. I know who you are. And have a wonderful day. Make sure you're getting outside while you're continuing to social distance. I miss every one of you, and I want to hear every one of you this week. You call that number that's in that weekly schedule that I said aloud, 651-425-4486. It's also in my contact information now. Signing off, everybody. Be well. Oh, one other comment. Somebody sent a message to me tell Mr. Ermer to use a better English accent next time he comes and substitutes. Well, wasn't very polite. He's French. Can't do nothing much about his accent. I'd like you all to be a little more sensitive to that, the way people speak. Sometimes they can't help it. Bye now.